During the 1960s, there was once a historian from the UK who later on became infamous. David Irving has made many books such as The Destruction of Dresden, Hitler's War, and Lying About Hitler. He's most known for being a Holocaust denier. So who is David Irving and what is his history? Well, when it comes down to David Irving, I think his history is very interesting. I think he's written some really brilliant books. And looking at David Irving books, I've seen that he hasn't just written about World War II, but he's also written about some parts of Christianity at least. And I think that he's a really good author. I think that all of the stuff that he's put out is very true. And I think that all of the things he said, it was trying to have his honest and factual information. And obviously he's quite known for sort of around the 90s, I think to early 2000s, for his Holocaust denial, of when he would talk about all the things that would happen in the Holocaust. And I've also talked about this in one of my videos that I did about the Holocaust industry by Norman Finkelstein. And I think David Irving, at least in a few of his lectures that I've seen, and especially in Hungary where he was arrested and actually sentenced to 3 to 5 years in Hungary for Holocaust denial, because if you didn't know, in 18 to 22 countries it's actually illegal to question the Holocaust. It's called Holocaust denial laws, and most of these laws apply at least in Europe, or at least most in European countries. And I think that David Irving, when he did these lectures and I saw them, they were very shocking about all of the details that he would talk about, you know, all of the, you know, the fake supposed gas chambers that were there, when just like a recreation. And David Irving would make a point about, oh, if I gave you a $20 bill and said, you know, because you lost one, he said, oh, I've just made you one literally just out of nowhere, that would be like, you know, forgery. And he would also say that was built by the Soviets, which there was strong evidence to that would, you know, suggest this. And I think that David also talked about when he was attacked in, at least not just Hungary, but I think it was either in London, I think. It was a lecture that he did, and he actually talked about what happened in Hungary when Hungary had communism, I think in 1957. And David Irving talked about when he would say that what he found out was very shocking and very fascinating, when obviously a lot of Hungary refugees came from Hungary into the UK because obviously they were being attacked by communism. But he said that it wasn't actually an anti-communism rally that would happen in, or an anti-communist program in Hungary. It was actually an anti-Jewish problem, because all the Jews got all of the best jobs and they got all of the, you know, jobs as torturers and interrogators, at least what David Irving claims. And when he discovered this, he was obviously accused of anti-Semitism when he wrote the book about when Hungary had communism. But obviously, you know, he said that there was very interesting details of what actually happened during the communism, because he thought it was an anti-communism, but it was actually anti-Jewish. And it was very, you know, shocking to actually, when he actually said this. When he was attacked when he gave this lecture, there was actually a few local Jews that actually came into his lecture to interrupt his meeting by being very obnoxious and very, you know, disruptive. And, you know, he actually went on a rant, or at least just a criticism to all these Jews, saying, you know, he knows why he's disliked, but he asked them if they know that they're disliked, and they said, you know, if he didn't, you know, do the behaviour that they did, they would have, you know, wouldn't have found themselves in Auschwitz. Again, not really saying that it's justified to do that, but what I'm trying to say is that David would probably just talk about, you know, these people who would, you know, not really self-analyse and self-criticise, to actually understand why their behaviour is the way that it is. And, you know, it's, especially when it comes down to Marxism and not being able to self-criticise, at least what David Irving says, at least in the lecture I watched. And as well, when I mentioned his arrest, he was also arrested in Canada and I think another place as well. I think it was either Germany or the Netherlands. He was actually fined for $22,000 for Holocaust now. So that brings it up to, where is David Irving now? Well, at least in one of the latest interviews I actually found, it was actually one of the ones where he would pretty much just talk about, or at least he admitted that there was gas chambers, but to be honest, I think that he was tortured for many years, and especially, you know, harried, hounded and booed and hissed at, that he just sort of just wants to relax, he wants to retire. And recently there was actually a rumour that he's actually seriously ill or he died, but it was actually just a hoax, and I think that David Irving's fine, as far as I've known or actually seen. And there were interviews that David Irving had. I think that one David Irving interview he had with an Australian man, can't remember his name, but he had an interview about what his opinions are on race mixing, or what he would say that there would be fatties and uglies that would do this. And this was just like an interesting interview that he would do of all the things and all the thoughts that he would have about when he was being interviewed. So anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this video about me talking about David Irving, his brief history about World War II, why he was attacked, and also his Holocaust now. And as well, if you want to click on these videos here where I talked a little bit about history and also the Holocaust industry that I mentioned in this video, I talk about those a little bit more in detail. And before you click on this video, I actually have a link in the description to either my main channel or my second channel, where I have my link tree where you can find my Discord and my other channels as well.